Welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie review, episode number 137. This is the 18th MCU film, and I think this is overall I'm trying to think of my head, I think this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, the 5th film of Phase 3. Black Panther. No, I don't own a physical copy of the movie because I just don't. Yeah, I've tried to find this at Walmart, but apparently it's still for like $25. I'm not paying a movie that much. I mean, I would pay a season of a series for that much. Not a movie. No, a movie should be basically $20 or less. Not $25, $30. Of course, this was a Blu-ray. And apparently this was the only copy they had, which that was quite stupid. Anyways. In the case of this particular film, this film basically has like a whole bunch of new characters. Now, these following characters return from previous films. We see return of the Black Panther, played by the same guy who played in Captain America Civil War, which is Charles. Yeah, he comes back. We also return Edward Ross, played by Martin Freeman in his second appearance in the series. And of course, well, we also return of Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw. Aside from that, I'm trying to think, was any other character making a return in this movie? Not really, no. I mean, almost everybody else is completely original to this very film. Now, the thing about this particular film is that about 90% of the characters appearing in this movie, I would say almost every single one, except for a small handful of them, are a creation of Christopher Priest and Mark Textra. Yes, because this film takes a lot of inspiration from that run and a little bit from the current run. At one point in the movie, the Black Panther stops wearing the outfit that he first sported in Captain America Civil War and actually starts sporting his current comic book attire that was designed by Brian Starfleet. I met the guy, I asked him about the suit. He loves the fact they actually use his suit for the movies. He absolutely loves it. I think it's fantastic. Though it's not the only time they actually use the current suit for the movies. They actually use, I will talk about in the case of Iron Man when I talk about Infinity War. Yep. Loses Claw. I love the fact they brought back Andy Serkis for the character, and the fact they actually have him become like the master of sound, though his claw looks a little bit different. Yeah, like his whole hand, he still has a hand, but it like transforms into this super weapon, and basically becomes like a blaster in a way. Kind of like what it is in the comics, but now in the case you're wondering, do I have a problem with the fact he doesn't wear his suit in the comics? Not really, no, because even though, yes, his suit is basically a classic suit designed by the late Jack the King Kirby, I don't have a problem with it at all. It's perfectly fine. As long as he acts like freaking Ulysses Claw and has the same personality and has sort of some hatred toward Black Panther, it's perfectly fine. And apparently, Black Panther's got a history with him. Though, unlike in the comics and many other depictions of the Black Panther, Ulysses Claw is the one who killed T'Chaka in the comics, Black Panther's father. In the movie, it's Zemo. Yeah, the change here is that from the comics, is that Ulysses Claw killed T'Chaka in Wakanda in order to get the vibranium. In the movies, T'Chaka got killed by Zemo in order to frame the Winter Soldier and split the Avengers in half. Yeah. It's not really a big problem here. As for Zemo himself, he does not pop out in the movie. As a matter of fact, he's not even mentioned. There's some rumblings about Captain America Civil War in here, but it's not really bigly brought up at all. Now, this film basically... Now, these following characters are not a creation of Christopher Priest, Mark Textra, the Black Panther himself. The main villain is Eric Killmonger, who's played by Michael B. Jordan, which the director of the film, Ryan Coogler, worked with this guy on the Creed movies. And the fact this guy previously played the Human Torch in the awful Fantastic Four film that was released 4 years ago. Man, it's like Marvel just steals people from Fox and makes them a heck of a lot more better. And Killmonger was awesome in this movie. It was freaking amazing. Aside from these two, there's a few other characters who are not a creation of them. Shara, who's created by Reginald Holland, who was actually a film director. Yes, he's the one who wrote the 4th volume of Black Panther. He wrote it for a few years before the book ended. The book itself, toward the end of the run, was taken over by Jillian Palmieri and not Amanda Connor, but Justin Gray. They took over for the last few issues before it was relaunched not long after that, with Rachel Holland back as the writer because Shaw Ray had taken over as the Black Panther in the next film. Their mother is not a creation of theirs, and of course, the guy who's basically Black Panther's best friend, he is also another creation of Chris Priest and Mark Textra. And Mayne appears in this movie, though he's not the main villain. Nope. Now they do keep elements of his character from the comics, like having like the woolly arms and legs. But yes, I do agree having him wear the gorilla mask, the gorilla head on his head, really looks kind of silly. And my guess is for some people it probably would be offensive. And I do appreciate Marvel not including him to having that. No, yeah, this guy is like his character in the comics, but not entirely. The man ape in the comics is evil. He is not a very nice person. At one point, he actually ruled his own country. In the film, they have him as one of the tribes of Wakanda, and his tribe doesn't exactly agree with Wakanda standards, and they worship the white gorilla gods. And of course, everybody else worships the Black Panther gods. Yep. Which is fine. It's a fine change. There's many nods to his comic counterpart in the movie, but he's not downright evil, which got at least appreciated for that. And they have this thing where they have this sort of annual challenge when the Black Panther comes home, is that anybody who wants to challenge for the role of the Black Panther basically can. Nobody does except for Manape. He comes in, they battle for a while. Of course, Black Panther, before he battle, he has to take a special potion to make him sort of weaker, so he doesn't have an overwhelming advantage over his opponent. And T'Challa wins, despite his weakened strength. He spares his life, but this does come back to help him later on. Yeah, that's one thing you at least got praised with this movie. It's by far the first MCU film I can think of where they set this up early on in the movie and they pay it off later. Yes. And of course, they also have, when he goes looking for Ulysses Claw, he just somehow just complete random runs into Everett Ross. Like, oh, hi, Everett Ross. How are you? and Everett Ross is like, Your Majesty, what are you doing here? Yeah. I appreciate the fact that Ross actually treats, in the film, like, he treats T'Challa with a lot of respect. He's even allowed to dress by his real name, which, give him high praise for that. And when he meets T'Challa's mother and sister, he treats them with, like, the respect they have. He treats them like what they are, royalty. I mean, he treats Black Panther's mother with a good amount of respect. He treats his sister with a decent amount of respect. He doesn't downright insult her because she's a woman, or the fact that she's a teenager. Nope, doesn't have a problem with her at all. I mean, he doesn't have a problem with taking orders from her at all because he's a pretty decent guy. And the fact that it was revealed he was actually a pilot in the Air Force before working for the CIA. Yep. So yeah, they find Claw with Killmonger. Yeah, Killmonger. That's really his name. His real name is Eric Stevens. They reveal this later in the movie. And at one point, Ross gets wounded, though he's taken back to Wakanda because Wakanda's got much more advanced medical technology. And also, the Golden City. I love the look of the Golden City appears in the movie. The Golden City doesn't know what the heck it is. It is very heavily associated with Black Panther. It is the capital of Wakanda. This is where we have the palace and where the royal family lives. And of course, they create the whole illusion about Wakanda, where it's the third world country. This basically comes back to bite the world in the butt later on when they reveal what actual Wakanda is. And they're so advanced because of vibranium. They even have special trains that and they're basically, in a way, thanks to vibranium, they're roughly about 50 years ahead of the world. They have much more advanced technology. They even have hover cars, which is something we don't even have in real life. Freaking hover cars. And in the case of Everett Ross's reaction to this, it's perfectly natural to react in so much awe at this place. And I love the fact that this place is so built upon this movie. Now, one of the characters in the movie is played by the awesome Forrest Whitaker. In the second movie I've seen this guy in, because the other movie I've seen this guy in was actually in the film Rogue One. Yep, he plays a character who is from the comics, and this guy is a creation of Christopher Priest. His name is Nektu, I think his name is. Yeah. Also, Black Panther's ex-girlfriend in this movie. No, it's not Storm. A lot of everybody probably wants to be Storm because of their very high-profile relation they had in the comics for a few years. Thank you, Rachel Holland, for doing that. Her name is. What's her name? Her name is Nikita. Yeah, she is basically Black Panther's ex-girlfriend. Basically brought home because of T'Chaka's death. We have Okanai Perry's movie, and I at least got praised the fact they got this character right. They got her look from the comics right, and the fact not only she's bald, but the fact they got her outfit and the fact she uses a very powerful spear. And I love the fact she's not an idiot. Thank you for not portraying this character as an idiot. Yeah, I like the fact that they kind of change in a way. They have her dating the Second Command, which is quite different. And the fact she's a pretty competent character. Plus, I love the fact they actually have her participate in the final battle scene, which is quite awesome. And the fact she's even a high-profile character who appears in Infinity War and Endgame. Thank you, Mara, for doing that, for taking a character who is not very well known in the comics. Yeah, she's not that big of a character. She's a Black Panther. And here's something quite weird about this character: is that after Christopher Priest wrapped up his run, she didn't appear again for like about first years. Like, I'm not really sure why this is, but yeah, it's particularly very weird. Yeah. She appeared again until actually just last year. She appeared again for 15 years until Black Panther 171. Actually, this book came out last year. Like, okay, why the heck did it take 15 years for this character to return? I have no idea. But I think the reason why they brought her back, and this is my personal theory, this film is the reason I brought her back. And of course, the character Shara, Black Panther's sister, she got a spin-off comic right after this film came out. A comic that canceled after only 10 issues. Eric Killmonger got a comic too, which was a 5-issue miniseries. Even had him basically take on Bullseye. Yeah, he somehow basically got one. Yeah, I only guess because people like the movie. Yep. And of course, well, after Ross recovers from his bullet wound, and he basically points out, yeah, I've seen this guy before. His name's Eric Stevens. He's one of our guys. Yep. And he has nickname Killmonger, which got through the military. And it turns out that this guy is actually, now it was revealed in a flashback which at the start of the movie, where T'Chaka, this was set about 20 years before the events of this film. I'd say probably the early to mid 90s, where T'Chaka goes after his brother, who apparently has been selling weapons, Wakanda weapons, on the black market. Something he's a no-no, he's not supposed to do that. And they have their flying ship show up in the middle of, I think this is supposed to be New York. Actually, it's not New York. I think it's like someplace in California, where he acts and his subordinate basically accidentally kills his brother, and he just leaves him there. This is pretend we were never here, and leaving his nephew, his orphan nephew, behind. Yeah, T'Chaka was not a very nice person. It's a good thing later on in the film they actually have Black Panther visit, like talk to the past kings, which this is something he can do in the comics thanks to a special ritual. I'm glad the fact they actually had this portrayed very well. Yeah, thank you, Ryan Cooley, for basically having a special effect people have this scene portrayed with such respect and how it is depicted in the comics. Yes, Black Panther can talk to his ancestors. That's indeed true. Though he has to go to the Necropolis, so they kind of have a movie, but it's not called it, but it's basically Necropolis. At one point, Black Panther was briefly called the King of the Dead. Yeah, that was something that Jonathan Hickman basically did. That apparently he built upon in New Avengers run, though that didn't lead to the comic book. Lucky enough, before this film came out, Black Panther had comic publishing for 2 years prior to the film's release. And still has one. Yep, even brought Chris Priest back for the annual, which I thought was fantastic. And it has several different spin-off books. I love the fact Marvel built this character. Yep. And then, of course, Black Panther takes him on in a match. He loses. They manage to get away, and the royal family is banished from the country. Yeah, basically, it's just, well, the Queen Mother, the princess, and, well, the child is probably presumed to be dead. And I think Okanai basically has to go. Okanai, I think that's the pronounced name, goes with them, and they seek refuge with Magdabu, and of course helps him out. and, well, basically forms an alliance with him. Like, you team with me, I'll get your seat in the council. So like, cool. So, him, his group, along with the armies of Wakanda, basically had this big brawl with rhinos. Yeah, they actually these guys up early on because of the fact that apparently she, from an area of Wakanda, basically raises armored rhinos. Yep. And it's something, though, that Second Command actually turns traitor. Though he's not downright evil, per se. And Black Panther has a rematch with him, and he basically puts on an outfit that make him think he was the Jaguar. Yeah, he's like spots. He's basically, it's kind of similar to what they did. Now, this is similar to what they did in Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Ant-Man, but this is done a heck of a lot better because it's someone who's heavily associated with the Black Panther, and he's known for wearing suits like this in the comics. Though at least he's not trying to seduce Black Panther's elderly mother like he did in the comics. Yeah, I thought that was stupid. Yep. And after they had the big brawl, which is a kind of a small scale one compared to one they had in Endgame and compared to the movies. Yep, and of course, Everett Ross basically goes off home. The movie ends quite interestingly with an interesting cliffhanger where, like, Wakanda goes public. Yep. And of course, Nation's like asking, what can a third world country like you do for us? He smiles. That's the movie ends. The post-credit scene where Bucky Barnes shows up. Yep. And of course, he has a nickname of the White Wolf, which is actually a nod to a character that is actually called that in the comics, who was a former spy for Wakanda that heavily appeared in the Christopher Priest run. No, Bucky Barnes basically. Here's kind of the weird thing about Bucky Barnes. He never actually has appeared in the pages of Black Panther comic. No, he never has. Isn't that quite weird? He's never appeared in an issue of Black Panther. Yeah, in the entire history this guy has been around since he's been back alive since like 2005 for the past 14 years. Now, I think he's met the Black Panther, but he's never shown up in his comic book. I mean, I've read like every single Black Panther comic book ever published. Well, just about every single, I think, except like one miniseries. But as of the recent stuff since 2005, Winter Soldier has never appeared in an issue of Black Panther. He's by far the only character who appears in this movie who has never appeared in pages of Black Panther. And at least got praised. So, basically, overall, this movie, the story is fantastic. Of course, Killmonger does die. There was a rumor in the sequel Black Panther, which is being written right now by Ryan Coogler, that they might bring back Killmonger, but it's not officially confirmed yet. Because Ryan Coogler, a few months ago, when it was announced by Kevin Feige the movie was coming back, he was still writing the script. As far as just Killmonger coming back, he's like, no. We can't confirm that at all, because they're writing the script. Yep. I'm trying to think, was anything else? Well, at one point you have the whole thing of, because everyone's a pilot, so he kind of pilots one of their ships to take out another ship that contains Wakanda weapons. And he's basically used via this black powder stuff. He just sits out in this chair and gets a pilot this thing and basically takes it out really well. Though he doesn't exactly beat up anybody in the movie. At least gotta appreciate I think he does protect Shari in the movie, even though she doesn't really need protection because, well, even though she's a princess, but she is a combat warrior. Yeah, and she's also a genius when it comes to science. Yeah, this is something basically, and of course the whole thing about outreach, that was something that she was pushing. And T'Challa was, now throughout the whole movie, there's a minor subplot with him where he's kind of resistant to that, going public and helping the world with Wakanda technology the right way, not with weapons, but basically with medical tech and stuff like that. Yeah. As for ramifications of this, we probably won't find out about this until Black Panther 2, which doesn't come out until 20-something. Let's see. What year does this sequel come out? Let's see. Let's see. The movie is set to come out in 2022, so only have to wait about 3 years. Though it's basically 4 years after the release of this film. Not bad period of time to release film. I mean, let's say Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Those movies were released roughly about 4 years apart. Actually, about 3 years apart. I think like the shortest time between movies I could think of they did was between Iron Man 1 and 2, which was 2 years, and Captain America Civil War and with the Winter Soldier Civil War, which basically those two were 2 years. Thor, as far as I can tell, I think was 2 years between 1 and 2, and between, 3 years between the second and third film. Yeah. But 4 years is actually quite a long time because if you look, let's say, Avengers movies, they released like once, like first one was released in 2012, second one 2015, next came out the following year, and it came out in 2018, and of course one came out this year. I would probably say Black Panther has probably got the, off the top of my head, the longest time between sequels to date. Yeah, I would say probably second longest probably goes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yep. But in the case of Black Panther as a whole, it's a really damn good movie, and I highly recommend it. And as being nominated Best Picture, oh yes. And not much else to say about this movie, just that it's really good. I love the fact also that Black Panther's bodyguards are portrayed very accurately from the comics. Yep. I think it was anything else. Oh yeah, and also one point the planet that Black Panther uses actually is destroyed, though one planet actually does survive. But they were ordered to be destroyed by Killmonger. Yep, because, well, he wanted no more Black Panthers, even though Black Panther was alive. Though I think that they probably regrew these things. It probably took a long time to grow these things, but they probably regrew it probably after this. Probably thanks to advanced technology they have. It's possible, yes, but here's the thing about Killmonger. He was officially, now, despite, here's the thing. Because the fact, even though that he supposedly killed Black Panther, he has every right to take the throne. Because Black Panther's alive, he is no longer the king, which means that the armies of Wakanda basically turned against him. Because you're not the king, because he's the king, because he's alive. That's just sort of it. Yep. But now I have to say this movie, really good. And next movie review, I'm going to talk about Avengers Infinity War. Yes, a movie that the film's building up since 2008. 10 years. I'll talk about that in my next movie, okay? My next action review will be covering Seven Deadly Sins and then Infinity War, okay? But this next view. Bye.